Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Brian. I love you, and I just wanted to check in, let you know I'm here with you. We're all together. We're all a team, and we got this because I got you. I love you. How about that last full moon cycle? That was intense. It was a long one. It felt like a long one this time. A lot of energy, a lot of up and downs again. It seems that we're just in this turbulence, that we seem to. It's just like if you were in the ocean, and it was just one of those tides that just kept coming, and you're just kind of waiting for that break, and that nice calmness, and that's what we're all seeking. We're all working for. But it seems as if, at least emotionally, if nothing else, there's still a lot of hardships, a lot of heaviness that's going around. And so as much as we want to remain calm and peaceful and happy, there's still a lot of things that are coming up and that we're being faced with and having to deal with and work through. And this last moon cycle was no different. It was yeah, I don't know if there was a word to describe it. Needed. That's what I felt like. As much as I talk trash about these moon cycles and how difficult they are, one thing that I keep realizing as we go through them is it's forcing us to have to deal with things. It's bringing things to the surface. And maybe that's what we need. Maybe if these moon cycles weren't coming in, maybe we'd all be continuing to suppress and push down and hide. But it seems as if it makes us open up and it makes us express. We have to learn how to be in control of those expressions, though, because it's like, this whole idea of like when someone turns into a werewolf during the full moon, you see how their personality changes and they kind of lose a little bit of control over who they are, right? And it can be like that, very much like that, but we want to gain control over those times and feel when our bodies are changing and our emotions are changing and our feelings are changing, and when things are coming up, and we want to say, okay, I understand the time that I'm in. I'm understanding of the process that I'm in this moment, and I'm not going to allow myself to be erratic and out of control. But clearly, I have things that are coming up that I need to deal with. So let's figure out a way to deal with that in a healthy way. But these are the times that we end up, saying the thing that we've been wanting to say but haven't, or doing the thing that we should have been doing but haven't. It's also the time when things cross our minds of things that have been being put off, like things that we need to get done that we keep putting off or we're not thinking about. Those things all come to the surface. And so we're really flooded with all these things, and really what it's trying to do is continue to align us into that balance. The more good we're doing and the more positive we're being and the more right things that we're doing, there's going to be less and less for us to have to deal with and work through during these moon phases, because these moon phases are here to work through things. And if there's nothing to work through, then it's not going to be as difficult for you. all about growing, learning, understanding, maturing, advancing, excelling. This literally is all a classroom. Life is the teacher, and this world that we live in is the classroom, and we are the students. Okay? We like to think, at least in the scientific mind, the scientific world, of how can we control things? How can we create and control things? But really, is any of us going out and telling the tree how to grow? No, we're looking at the tree and saying, how does this thing grow? And learning from it, right? We're always learning from nature. We're always looking at nature and trying to understand how it works. Okay? So we are the students. Okay? We just need to sit quietly in nature and with life and listen. It's wanting to communicate so that it can help us grow. We're so busy, we don't hear that communication. We miss it. Every day we miss it. We're doing things. We have our whole day planned out. We have our whole weeks planned out, our whole months planned out, our whole years planned out. So when do we ever have time to listen to what life is trying to tell us? That is the point. How many more days, weeks, months, and years are you going to waste not listening to yourself? Because really, this is a giant consciousness. And what do you have up here? A consciousness, a conscience. It is all tied in. It is the same thing. This is just your piece of it. So it is yourself, the consciousness, the self, communicating with itself, you. And you're missing out on your own communication with yourself. Okay? It's not God. Okay? It's not the universe. Okay? We say terms and use terms because we don't understand, but I'm going to tell you what the term is. It's you. It's yourself. It's the self. The self is the consciousness, which all of this comes from. We are all pieces of that consciousness. But we are all that source. We are all the creation, and we are all the creator. We're trying to experience ourselves. We're trying to create the greatest possible experience for ourselves. And ourself includes other things, because what is an experience with nothing? It's nothing. So we create all these different things, all these different experiences that we can have, and we live it out. Why? That's the great question, isn't it? Timothy Leary asked that question on his deathbed, and the answer he kept replying to himself from himself was, why not? I mean, really, is there another answer to the question why than why not? Because if not, then there's nothing. So it seems as if we're all in this thing that we can't get out of, but the idea is if there was an out of it, there wouldn't be anything. And as much as a lot of us feel like, oh man, that'd be so great not to have to do anything, there's this thing called rest. When you're in control, you can rest, just like when you go to sleep. And in your sleep, it's like you're doing nothing, right? Now, of course, we're dreaming, we can dream, but that is your time to do nothing. What we're talking about when we talk about removing ourselves from existence is there literally is nothing. You don't exist, right? There is no experience. What's going to happen to a soul if they're in that state over time is they're going to want nothing more than to experience anything and something. Even if it's the smallest little sound, ding, ding, that would be like the most amazing experience in the world to a soul who had no experience. So it's not that we want to be out of the experience. We want to be in the experience, which we are. That's why we're grateful. The idea is, if we are the creators of the experience, why are we living in one that we don't agree with? This is an open playing field, okay? It's like an open canvas, and we are the artists. We're supposed to be able to paint this however we want to and live in this beautiful creation. And then we wouldn't be asking the question why, because we'd be doing it, and we'd be enjoying it and loving it. The reason we're asking the question why is because we're in a system. We've found ourselves in this reality, in a system that is controlled by certain individuals who have a desire for power and control over other people. And they've created something called money so that they can divide people into classes and hold control over them. We are all equal. We are all human beings with souls and minds and hearts. There is no money to define or to value each of us. We are all equal. There is no value other than priceless. And so because they have forced the system and we have to abide by it or be imprisoned, we are essentially and technically slaves, all of us. And so that is why we don't agree and why we feel like we don't want to be here and we don't want this anymore. And we feel disconnected from this reality and experience because our souls know better. Our souls know this isn't right. This isn't the way it's supposed to be. We're just supposed to be able to live and grow and experience and create. But we can't do any of those things because we're working. And having to pay bills. And having to struggle to survive. And provide for ourselves and our families. They've made that the agenda they've made that the agenda besides and instead of living. We can't even express ourselves the way we want to because we have to be so busy dressing up and putting on costumes and going to do things to fit in so we can be like the rest and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing as far as what society tells us. It's sickening. What I have seen is progress. What we're seeing And if you go back to the year 2019, right before 2020, I had made some predictions and some writings that the dialogue across the world was going to change here very quickly. And that essentially the truths and the reality of the truth is going to be starting to be exposed. And it's going to start this dialogue across the world of people no longer talking about just what's on the news or what their sports team did or what they had for dinner that night, but we're actually going to be having a deeper conversation because people are literally waking up and being forced to have that conversation. And you can see this because you're noticing it with people who normally would pay no attention to these types of things, but yet because they are also going through it in their own life, they can't ignore it any longer. And what that's telling me is we're making progress. We're heading in the right direction because it's what we're seeing is people are having to question things, question themselves, question their realities, question the stories they've been told, question and even go in thinking about their own choices they've made in their lives, when again a lot of people have been raised in this world to, we move on, we don't think about things, it's the past and it doesn't matter, it's in the past. Well, it does matter. The past does matter, or else it wouldn't exist. Okay? If all of us had flawless and perfect pasts, would we say they didn't matter? No, we'd say, wow, it definitely mattered because it led us to where we are. So it does matter, and it works the opposite way. If we have very bad past and have made very bad choices and bad things have happened, it matters because it's why we are who we are today. And so we need to take a look at those things. We take a look at them from an outside perspective, essentially, from a third eye. And we say, what really happened here? And why did it happen? How did it happen? And what did it cause? And when we can put all those things down and understand all those things, we become in control of the emotion, of the memory, of the situation. And now we can take steps to heal from it. We can forgive, we can apologize, we can let go, okay? We can empower. So I'm seeing all these things happening, and it's encouraging. So let's continue to, on each of our own individual levels, let's continue to just set the best example that we can. You know, there's this idea that the reason that people continue to live in poverty is because when they walk out their doors every day, all they see around them is poverty. And so what example is being set to say there is something else or something more? So let's walk out our doors and see love. And the only way we're going to do that is if all of us are being that love. So let's each set the example. And let's all grow with each other and because of each other, because of our support, because of our care, because of our understanding that this is what we're trying to do. So we're going to focus on positivity. We're going to focus on gratitude. We're going to focus on the bigger picture. If the bigger picture is what matters, right? It's what we all know should be. Focus on the bigger picture, then we're not giving credit and credence to the BS that is going on in the smaller picture around us. Let's not even give it acknowledgement. It is would you watch a TV show that you didn't agree with, or would you turn the channel? Or would you feel like this need to, well, because it's there, I have to watch it? No, you wouldn't. But yet all of us continue to allow this negative system that we live in to affect us and buy into it. Let's turn off the media. Let's turn off the TV. Let's turn off the news. Let's stop worrying about what is going on in Hollywood and in Washington. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. What matters is that all of us wake the F up, get on the same effing page, and move the F on. We can do it. And we are going to do it. It's just a question of when. How much longer do we need to figure it out? There's so many factors that go into figuring it out. We really have to start with understanding the truth of our history, of our past. That is how we figure it out. There is a timeline of events that leads up to this very moment that I'm speaking to you now. And those timeline of events have been completely destroyed and construed and lied about. And you can look all over the world and there's not even a single consensus on what those timeline of events are. From culture to culture, from country to country, from people to people, that answer changes and it's a different belief system of what that even is. That is the problem. None of us can agree on anything because we don't even know the true history of ourselves. So in my mind and in my heart, that's why I find so much fascination and interest in the past. Now it's just like everybody else in the old days, right? You go to school, you're taught social studies and history class and all these things, and you just listen to what they tell you and you apply that into your conscience and say, okay, that's just the way it is. And so we're kind of duped. We're left with this belief system of how things are and were, and it's not true. It's not until you really start diving into it that you realize, wow, actually it's a completely different story than what we're being told. And when you realize that, then you kind of have to throw everything out the window. Because if the entire history is false, then everything they're telling me is false, then what they're continuing to tell me and what we're seeing around us is false as well. It's a scam. And so, another question becomes in why then? Why is there such this effort to deny the human being the truth of their history? I think it's because we're very, very special beings. I think it's because we have extreme and immeasurable potential that if that was to be let loose for the people that are in control, would be absolutely detrimental to their agendas, right? And so it's like if you were to keep a tank full of little Supermans, but never let them put on their capes. You see how Superman has to go into the booth, put on his cape, then he becomes Superman? You can't do it without it, the cape, kind of thing. It's like we are all these very special beings, but we just continue to be the news reporter. Put on our suit. But what we need to do is, once we get our capes on, all of a sudden we're flying over buildings and picking up trains. They don't want us to put on our capes, so they keep us suppressed and low and belittled to make us believe we are nothing. That's the story of religion. We are less. we are less. We have to worship the greater because we are less. It's not true. We are the greater. We are the greatest. We're the greatest. And they don't want us to know that and believe that. But I believe that and I know that. And the moment that we all buy into ourselves instead of their BS, that becomes reality. Is there any group of controllers? Think about a superhero movie. Is there any group of villains who would ever be able to compete with an entire planet of supermen and superwomen and super children? It would never happen. One Superman can defeat an entire group of villains. Make an entire planet of supermen, women, and children. Who's touching us? Nobody's touching us. But we have to believe in ourselves to make that happen. So, let's take back our power. Let's take back our freedom. Let's take back our home. It's no fun living under these bullies and their control in our own home. That doesn't make sense. And then we pay them to do it. We give them money to do it every day. Say, do it more, do it more. Come on. I'm not suffering enough, please. I want to pay you to do it more. Oh. For being such a special people, we certainly are the most gullible and the most easily fooled. That's for sure. But that's what makes us so empathetic, doesn't it? Because we care so much. We care so much. That's why. And I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. I'd rather have that trait about me more than anything else. The fact that I have one of the biggest hearts in the world and of any type of species in the world means the world to me. And that is my true power. And that's why I'm here today talking to you. And I love you. So I hope you've had a great chat or a great listen to my chat. And I hope that it's inspired you to continue to believe in yourself, to smile, to not feel defeated, to know that you are great and that greatness is upon us and it's coming. And I'm really excited for all of us to finally be able to look across the street in the world and at each other and smile and look at each other like as teammates and brothers and sisters and family, and know that we've got our home and that we don't have to be scared and afraid and that we can't be free and do what we'd like to do because we have to spend our time and our energy and our lives doing some other person's work for them and for their agendas. I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait for us to all of us to have our time. We all just want to express ourselves in these beautiful ways. And I cannot wait for us to have the time to do that. So, I love you. Have a beautiful day today. Hey, let's finish by saying our thanks since we didn't start with that. Let's say thank you for our life today. Thank you for our breath. Thank you for our breath. Thank you for our health. Thank you for the medicine to help heal us. Thank you for our food and our water and our shelter. Thank you for our friends and our family. Thank you for continuing to wake us up and give us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to figure it out and to continue to make the right choices. Thank you for all of those opportunities every single day. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for leading us. Thank you for setting a beautiful example. Thank you for giving us a beautiful home to live in. Thank you for all the animals and the plants and all the beautiful nature. And thank you to you for being here. Because you don't have to be, do you? But you are. And I appreciate you and your time, in your heart and your soul, in your consciousness. It is because of you that we all exist. And I want you to understand that. I love you. You got this. And I got you. Have a great day.